For Calgary, Lougheed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Alberta's proud history of supporting school choice is an undeniable success, which has resulted in better results for our entire education system, including within the public system. Now, unfortunately, a group of NDP-linked front groups have continued their attacks on school choice, demanding that long-standing funding be rescinded. Parents and students are concerned that this government is going to oblige ideological allies and end school choice. So to the Minister of Education, will you unequivocally commit today that the funding model for the Catholic, charter, private and homeschooling will indeed remain the same?
The Honourable Minister of Education.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I find it interesting that every few months that I have to stand up to the same question because, we have from the very beginning as a government invested in education. We've invested in enrollment for increases in enrollment in all forms of education. We continue to do so in this budget, even during very difficult economic times. We made sacrifices in other areas to make sure that we fund education right across the board. And Mr. Speaker, I won't apologize for what we have been doing. And when you cast aspersions like this member does, it only causes a bigger problem.
Yeah.
Here's why the question keeps coming up. Given that members of the current government, when in opposition, demanded an end to school choice, and given that Public Interest Alberta, the group spearheading the attack on school choice, has well-established links to the governing party, and given that the executive director used to work for the Minister of Infrastructure, and their president is a former NDP candidate, and their founder is now the chief of staff within the government, Minister, is your government quietly encouraging PIA in an attempt to build the political conditions to introduce policy that you long advocated while you were in opposition?
Well, Mr. Speaker, while the member opposite likes to concoct conspiracy theories, like he wants his own TV show or something, we are funding for education. We are making sure that we're building schools, and we're making sure that we're actually strengthening our education system in all of its different manifestations across the province. And so while other people cast aspersions, as the honourable member is doing here, we're actually getting the job done, and we're doing a great job, and I think Albertans think so too.
Second supplementary.
Aspersions, just facts. Given that the Minister of Seniors is a former Vice President at Public Interest Alberta, and the member for Edmonton Ellerslie chaired a special PIA education task force, this government is clearly very closely aligned with this organization.
Facts.
And given that a number of the other NDP MLAs and their partners, including the Premier, have very close ties to a number of the 14 organizations listed on Public PIA's website, to the Minister, have you or your staff had any direct or indirect discussions about changing the current school funding model with any of the 14 organizations lobbying against school choice?
Honourable Minister.
I would like to see, after a couple of years, that the opposition, the member fitting into his opposition role, would actually ask questions that were meaningful and actually constructive, because, in fact, we are building, and each time we are building to strengthen education, and each time someone like the member opposite is spreading rumors in order to knock public education down. And so, you know what, Mr. Speaker, you got to rise above it. We certainly do, and we make sure that our students get the very best education here in the province of Alberta. That's why the member opposite got voted out of office, because they didn't do that.